Welcome to the In the Group Chat podcast.
Okay, we're here back for episode 2 of the In the Group Chat podcast. Welcome to the show. My name's Singh, and I thought I would use this opportunity just to talk to you about what's been going on during this week. This is probably going to be my first solo episode, so I thought I would use it just to ramble a bit, get into my flow, see how things are, and see if you like it, see if you vibe. But yeah, first week back to work. This is, January 7th, 2021. I feel like this is my verbal diary. I'm just going to document each day that I do this podcast. But yeah, back to work. I don't know about you, but I've definitely had the January blues. It's difficult getting back into the flow of things, especially when you haven't been that active during the COVID period. Usually, you're out and about, you're social. There is that mental and physical exhaustion that comes back from being out and about so much. But this year it's been absolutely nothing. Like, the most I've done is put up a Christmas tree, take down the Christmas tree, take my dog for a walk, and probably just work out a bit. There's absolutely nothing you can do. But yeah, how have you been coping? What's your back to work routine? My biggest takeaway from working from home is actually something I discovered a few years back. A friend of mine called Ben Kelly, who lives in Australia, he permanently works from home. Like, pre-COVID, his office is at home. And I always wondered how you don't get distracted by family, you don't get distracted by the PlayStation or TV or Netflix, and you're able to focus during this time. And essentially what I discovered was he has this routine in the morning that separates home to work or from work, but still within the boundaries of his house. So what he does, he gets up in the morning, he showers, he gets changed, he goes downstairs for a coffee, he has breakfast or whatever, he finishes his coffee, and then he goes back up to his desk like he's ready for work. Like, there are people who sit in their pajamas and will take their first 3, 4 or 2 hours of morning calls from their bed in their pajamas. I don't know how they do that. Like, that would just make my back hurt, honestly, just sitting there for ages. It helps separate your mindset to being at work and then being at home. And I'm really fortunate because the room that I work in, I was going to say study, I'm not at uni anymore, but the room that I work in isn't in the same room that I sleep in. So that, helps me differentiate things. But yeah, definitely get out like you're leaving for work in the morning. Like, I get up and I put on jeans and I leave. I know that's really crazy because people are like, oh, why do you wear jeans at home? Why don't you wear joggers? But yeah, I get up and I wear jeans, and I probably not do my hair, but yeah, I get up, brush my teeth, do all of that, have a routine which helps me separate bedtime to work time, which really, really helps. But we're back into a lockdown. The lockdown hopefully is going to be the final lockdown that we have. Hopefully this will be the lockdown over all lockdowns, which just helps us get rid of COVID-19, and hopefully this whole vaccine rollout goes well. I don't know if you guys have any reservations about getting the vaccine. Are there any anti-vaccine vaxxers out there? Let me know what you think. Let me know what your thoughts are. I probably will get the vaccine. I probably will just hold off until I have to take it, or I need to travel somewhere and it's mandatory to take the vaccine before you travel, because I'd rather travel, to be honest, than have some conspiracy theory that the government's going to be controlling me if I inject myself with a liquid. Like, that's seriously unlikely. But I am looking forward to having this vaccine. rolled out for sure. I think that's a huge breakthrough. Hopefully it is safe, not just safe right now, but safe 10 years from now. And I think that's probably the biggest concern for people is, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but vaccine taker, but is this safe? Like, is my dick gonna fall off in 10 years time? Like, you wanna just make sure and have the confidence that there's nothing bad that's going to harm you in 10 years time. But I have faith that our scientists have done a great job of getting this right and making this safe. But the lockdown is crazy right now. I have seen like reports in the news of people who are people who are anti-lockdown. Like, why would you be anti-lockdown? I don't get it. Especially those people who are like, oh, you're telling me to wear a mask and I can't wear a mask, and I shouldn't have to listen to what somebody else says. If I don't want to wear a mask, I won't. Well, no, the point of the mask is you're protecting other people from something that you might have. It's like, it's one of the reasons people wear a condom. You use it. If you've got something, you use it to protect somebody else, so you're not spreading it, right? That's the whole point of it. So it's almost the same premise. Just wear the fucking mask. And the same thing with the lockdown. It's just to stop it spreading. Like, just do what you need to do to stay home, and just to make sure that this COVID-19 doesn't go into our summer. Like, 2021 summer is going to be sick if this vaccine actually works. If you're roaming around, you can go to Shoreditch, you can fly to New York, you can fly to Europe and do whatever. Man, if you're roaming around and the vaccine works, then you can enjoy the summer. If we had the weather that we had last year, this summer 2021 is going to be fucking sick. So, that's something to be definitely positive about. I think it will be really, really cool. But right now, just to bring you back to reality, COVID is very real. I find a lot of people who question the way things are run. I wouldn't call them hoaxers. I wouldn't call them anti-lockdown. I think, it's okay to question. Like, there is some shady shit that's going on. Things haven't gone right. Poor decisions have been made. But that doesn't alleviate the power of the virus. That doesn't get rid of the impact that it's having. That's just hearsay. That's just talk. Nothing's going to change by you sharing your opinion on that. What you can physically do that will make a difference is stay at fucking home. I've seen pictures of not pictures, but headlines of hospitals being like super stressed out and ambulance crews being like rushed off their feet, and pictures of queues and lines of ambulances waiting to get into hospitals with sick patients on board on the news. And I've spoken to people and they have said that this is like serious now. Like, it is really bad. And this a family member of mine caught COVID during Christmas, and man, it was bad. Like, they were like, it hit them like a fucking ton of bricks. Like, they couldn't walk, they couldn't get out of bed, they couldn't eat, they couldn't talk, constantly coughing. And when they did call for an ambulance because it got so bad, the ambulance service did take 8 hours to arrive. And when they did arrive, they did explain that usually during the Christmas period of Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and Boxing Day, on average, the NHS ambulance crew would receive about 3,000 calls. But this year, on Christmas Day alone, they received 11,000 calls. 11,000 calls. That is just insane. Like, that is an astonishing number. Honestly, the increase from 3,000 across 3 days to 11,000 on one day, that is shocking. And that just goes to show how concerned and worried and how serious this pandemic has actually become. Yes, it has stopped us in our tracks, but do you know what? It is what it is. And I think for me, like, I kind of feel like we are making some serious headway. I do feel like we are going to be halfway through this year, and we will have made some serious progress on getting through this pandemic. So I'm super positive, and I'm super hopeful that that is what will happen. I'm of course managing my expectations because it does depend on how this vaccine works, but I think that we'll have some serious changes this year compared to the latter half of last year. But I'm interested in knowing in what you're going to be doing during this lockdown. You know, is it going to be the new year, new me, trying new things out, or is it going to be same old vibes, just chilling, just trying to see it through, just trying to do your thing, and have fun? I'm certainly going to be like binging on Netflix a lot. There's this really cool thing on British GQ. For anybody who does read British GQ, it's a really cool online magazine, and they've listed GQ's top 20 movies of 2020, and there are about 111 movies to watch, and I think they're all on Netflix. So make your way through that list, man. Like, watch 2 a day, watch them while you're working. I think, like, definitely check that out. I'm probably going to post a link of wherever you're listening to this, but yeah, that's definitely going to be good. And working out is definitely harder during the winter, like, I'll admit it. When it gets dark, it's just like, oh fuck, do I have to go outside, do I have to walk the dog? But yeah, try and get yourself out, man. I've moved away from gymming, going to gyms and paying for gym subscriptions, and I've decided to invest in gym equipment at home. So I think home working is going to be the way forward for me, for sure. I'm definitely not going to put up any videos of me home working. That's not my vibe. I'll leave it to the gym, the gymmers on Instagram. But yeah, I invest in some kit. Help yourself stay fit. I definitely do recommend it. And I've been thinking about what this lockdown's been like, especially the last one as well, and I kind of feel like it's a bubble, but not necessarily a COVID bubble, more like an invisible bubble. Stay with me, I'll explain what I mean. So I think I kind of feel like the world around me is moving at 100 miles an hour. There's so much happening. Like, you've got, when you look at the whole Black Lives Matter, you look at that, and there was so much going on around the world. There was so much activity. The same with the farmers' protest in India. Like, there's so much activity going on. The Capitol building was just attacked by Trump supporters in the first time since like the 1800s. Like, there's so much going on around us with the vaccine, with COVID, with Brexit, and that kind of is outside of my immediate bubble, if that makes sense. When I look at things that are within my bubble, that's things I can touch, things I can control, things I can change. All of that is stagnant. That's not moving, that stays where it is. It's almost like I'm reliving this same day again and again and again, but the world around me is moving so fast. For me, it's the same four walls, it's the same desk, it's the same emails, the same workout, the same conversations with the same few people, and it's crazy to think that there's so much going on around us, but within my bubble and within all I can control, that's kind of all I have. Does that make sense? I'm trying to articulate this. So I think I'm just going, my point here is, if you do feel stuck, if you do feel worried, scared, nervous, frustrated, by this world around you that's outside of your bubble, I think you need to know you're not alone. And I think you need to know that I, for one, know exactly how that feels. Like, I promise you, I know how that feels. And it feels like every time you do watch the news, it's like the only thing the world can do is manufacture negativity. It's like your screen and all the channels that you consume content on are like targeted by the media just to feed you negativity. Like, if you were to scroll onto BBC News, onto the Daily Mail, no, not Daily Mail, fuck that, that's not a credible source of news, is it? But If you were to scroll on Instagram or scroll across whatever medium you consume content, I guarantee you there's not one piece of positive news out there. And because positive and negative news just circulates quicker than positive news, so I don't know, I just feel like sometimes like the media has a target on your back just to feed you bad news. And it's social media, it's hearsay, it's fear mongering, and it kind of, I feel like they're all just groveling for your attention within this bubble of yours. And that is, I don't hate anyone for it, and I'm not pointing fingers at the press or at social media platforms or any content creators or any influencers or anything like that. But I think I just hate the way that feels. I hate going onto all of these channels that I used to love and just having like negative feeded news. Like, that is the worst. And I think what we need to do is kind of protect our bubble. And I think you need to find a way to live your life and to feel some sort of happiness within your existence within this bubble, if that makes sense. And I think when you kind of control the things that you can control within this bubble, that will change your attention and change the way you react to things that are outside of your bubble. So let me give you some examples of things that I have done to try and protect this bubble of mine. And I hope you're with me on the analogy here. So, I've started meditating. I've started getting my head down before bed and just, I just Googled guided meditation and just spending 10 minutes just meditating, having a sense of mindfulness, which is really good because there's so much around us that's happening. It's a little crazy and hard to process. And it almost helps you, excuse me, I burped. It also helps you kind of separate yourself from, okay, all that shit's there, I'm over here, I'm in my own world, and I'm at peace. And that's really, really important. Social media is such a difficult thing because I do love it. I do love scrolling on social media. It's addictive. However, that addiction isn't good all the time. Like, social media is great for some great things, but it is hard sometimes. It is hard trying to not get influenced. I dare say it, not get influenced by influence to, adjust your way of thinking, or have news being interpreted like Chinese whispers and then posted by somebody, but the news isn't a realistic reflection of what actually happened. So that's difficult. And the one thing I do is and my friends will know this, I tend to delete my social media app, not account, but app quite a lot. And what I do there is I get a sense of FOMO. I want to know what's happening on social media. So what I do is I delete the app, which means on my device, on my phone, I'm not on it all the time, but I do allow myself to feed my addiction by going onto a browser and just looking at what's been going on in the last sort of 24 hours, and then that's it, I'm off it for the day. And that really works. And if you allow yourself to do that like for about 5 days, you can keep that up. Your addiction to Instagram will be less and less, but you still feel involved. You can still communicate and like and share and do things through the browser app. So I definitely recommend doing that. The other thing is check in with yourself in the mornings before you check in with your phone. Now, I got this tip. Well, I kind of developed this when I watched the documentary Social Network. Is it Social Network? Social Dilemma, sorry. Social Network's a great movie about Mark Zuckerberg, by the way. The Social Dilemma. And they had this thing on there about how your phone can influence your thoughts and influence the way you're thinking on any given day. Like, you could be in like the happiest mood, and then something will pop up on your phone. It can change your whole like mindset on something, right? So my normal routine used to be waking up in the morning, checking Instagram, checking emails, checking like messages, and probably checking BBC News. Like, I'm in bed, I haven't even woken up, my phone's, I haven't got out of bed, I haven't even switched on the light, and this is what I'm doing. But what I do now is I don't look at my phone as a first thing, because all those things used to influence my day really quickly. Like, they used to influence my mindset on things. And what I do now is I don't look at my phone, but I check in with myself. I check in and I kind of just have a mental chat with myself. How do I feel today? What am I going to achieve? What am I positive about? What am I grateful about? Just put yourself in a good mood in the morning, and then then you're almost immune to whatever happens on your phone. Like, you're already put yourself in the right mindset, and you're better able to deal with and react to whatever's happening in this world outside of your immediate bubble. So, and that's a huge thing. Like, the way you react to things has a huge impact on the outlook of things for you. So definitely check in with yourself in the mornings before you check in with your phone. The next tip is get out the house, work out, get some fresh air, get those endorphins. That's really important. And also, staying fit helps you fight COVID should you get it. So, it's like you're winning either way. Yeah. So, and you look better, you feel better. So definitely do get out. Watch people and things that inspire you and make you feel good. This is so important. Like, I probably don't tend to watch something that's super intense and super distressing before I go to bed, because it probably will have an impact on the way I sleep, which I've noticed over the last couple of years. I would never have noticed that before. But, when I'm feeling uninspired, I watch something like The Defiant Ones, and that's a documentary on Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine. If you haven't seen it, it's one of the best and most inspiring documentaries I've ever seen. If I want to, be in a good mood, I'd watch like 2022 Jump Street or 2021 Jump Street or something funny like that. Or I listen to, or if I'm looking for ideas on how to do something, watch people who have done it successfully. Like this podcast, I watch Joe Rogan, I watch Joe Budden, I watch other people that I see on social media and on other platforms that are doing this really well. So watch these people and learn from people who actually know what they're doing. Like, sometimes friends are great for giving advice and viewpoint and vantage point and perspective, but if they haven't done it successfully, why are you listening to them? Listen to people who have actually been successful at going through that same journey that you've been through. So that's one thing to be really mindful about when you're doing whatever during this lockdown or whatever, whenever really. And you can say no to things, like literally put yourself first to a certain degree, of course. Like, putting yourself is so important. If there's something you genuinely don't want to do, just say you don't want to do it, and don't feel like you need to do things for other people if it's something you genuinely don't want to do. And and I do mean that with a pinch of salt. Like, don't be pushing up the old lady out the COVID-19 vaccine line just because you're putting yourself before her. I just mean, don't do things you don't want to for other people unless it's absolutely necessary and you'd be really helping them out. And the final thing I want to leave you with is something I learned off Gary Vee. And there's something he said called GAP, and that's an abbreviation for gratitude, accountability, and perspective. And so let me just run through this with you. So gratitude, and I'm sure most of us know what gratitude is. It's probably one of the most spoken about buzzwords for the last 9 months. Gratitude is you just being grateful for the things that you have in your life. Like, when you think about it, sometimes I'm like, fuck, I'm stuck in this house, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do that. But actually, you're so fortunate. You're so lucky that you have the means and the money to buy food and groceries and pay for your heating bill because it's fucking freezing right now. You have TVs, you have internet, you have a bed, you have family, and even if you live alone, you have FaceTime, the means to contact other people at the very least. There are people out there that have a lot less and are going through the same environmental, macro environmental situation that we're going through. And we have so much at our disposal. Like, we have so much tech, so much content to consume, so many books to read. So be grateful for what you have, because you are better off than 95% of the people on this planet in some way, shape or form. The next is accountability. Now, accountability is really important because it's all about being accountable for your actions. So if there's something you genuinely can change in your life, stop moaning about it. You're accountable for it. Go change it. If there's something within your bubble, the bubble of life, which I was talking about earlier, if it's something you can genuinely change, like, go and change it. Only you and you yourself are accountable for this. And that's like a super, super important point, because I've read a lot of stuff where it says you are accountable for where you are in life, and I do think to a certain degree that is incredibly true. If you are somewhere in your life where you're not happy with, you're not content with, and you don't want to be there, chances are you are the person that's put you there. So be accountable for the things that you can actually and genuinely control in your life. And finally, perspective. Have perspective. If you're listening to this and you're fit and healthy and you're concerned about COVID, you don't have COVID right now. If you had COVID, the chances of you surviving is very, very, very high. Your family are safe. Just put things in perspective in your life. You're not dying, you're not injured, you don't have a certain illness that could be detrimental to you getting COVID. And even if you do, you're at home, you have the ability to protect yourself by staying within, the realms of your house. So perspective is really important, and putting things into perspective. We're not in March 2020, we're in January 2021. We're a lot further, and we've progressed a lot more with the battle against whatever's going on around the world than we did 9 months ago. So put your life in perspective. If you've got a job, you have a job. Put it in perspective. Even if you're not happy about where you are in your job, you have money coming in. Put it into perspective. I'm sure there are plenty of people who have lost their jobs during this pandemic who fucking love to be in the position that you're in. So it's really important to have perspective on life. And that is GAP. And I love that. And that's one of my favorite things. I've actually got it written down on my computer screen. So definitely do think about this. Think about GAP. Think about working out. Think about meditating. Checking in with yourself in the mornings before you check your phone. Spend less time on social media and meditate. But also think about your bubble. Think about what things are within your bubble of life. I know that sounds corny as fuck, but what can you genuinely control? If the world's going to fly by at 100 miles an hour with lots of things happening in the United States, lots of things happening in, Delhi with the farmers and the Black Lives Matter, and if you're sort of, if there's some with Brexit and the vaccine, if you can actively help. But, try and detach yourself mentally, because thinking about it all the time can be super detrimental to your mental health. So think about what you can control in your bubble and just your bubble, and just focus on that. Focus on what you can change. Don't focus on what you can't. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is episode 2 of the In the Group Chat podcast with Singh. I hope you enjoyed it.